we've talked about Mac Jones ever since he was drafted, and we've talked about what we expected. And again, today was that next step of being unpredictable. The next
Yep.
step, Belichick, where he's saying more than I ever anticipated him to say about this quarterback. And we go back to the first day of OTAs that you saw. He's not, as we said last week, carrying helmets. He's not the fourth guy. He's not getting treated on the field like we thought he was going to get treated. And then usually, as we know, no matter what you ask Belichick this time of the year, usually it's a big old fat ass stink bomb. And instead of trying to quiet the noise, he stood up there today and said, "No, this kid is picking up what we're putting down." And he gets it, pretty much is what he said. I mean, if you just want to wrap it all up into one nice, clean sentence, this guy is getting it so far. And so to me, again, I'm not telling you he's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not even
Right.
telling you he's going to start a game this season. I have no damn idea. But what I can say is the way Belichick is handling him on the field and talking about him, I do think, Greg, that is significant.
I completely agree with you, Nick, and I think that what you said and what we've talked about, that Belichick, not only what he said, but in practice, that Cam Newton goes down and Belichick is just like, go with Jones. And also, I don't really care that it's a blitz heavy period where Kyle Van Noy and all these guys are flying at Mac Jones and he has no blockers in front of him
Right.
that know
Yep.
what the hell he's doing. I don't really care because I know the kid can handle it. And I can tell you, from being around here that they weren't doing this to Cam Newton in his fifth practice as a Patriot. And they certainly weren't doing this with Jarrett Stidham or Jimmy Garoppolo in about their, fifth OTA practice as a Patriot. So that the Patriots think enough of Mac Jones to throw him into the fire, so to speak, as much as you can get in an OTA practice without pads, to me speaks more volumes about where he is and where they see him than any quote unquote performance he might have had on the field today.
It tells you they trust him. And I would also say this. I think it also tells you at least a bit. There was some talk about Mac and his maturity. And a lot of it stemmed from the DUI he had years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, oh, is he mature enough? The fact that Belichick is saying what he's been saying publicly, I think also tells us that they not only feel like he is ahead of where they thought he might be, that they're happy where he's at right now. But I also think, Greg, and you can agree or disagree, I also think it tells us that as far as the person, as far as the individual, Belichick doesn't think that Mac is the kind of guy that if I go out there and I say what I said this week in front of the cameras and I give him this responsibility on the practice field, he obviously doesn't feel like Mac is the kind of guy that will let it get to his head. And that there's a certain level of maturity where Mac can kind of, compartmentalize this stuff and say, great, the coach, coach said that. Great, coach has me as the second guy. Cam went down, great. Coach put me as the number one guy. But for Belichick to do all of that right off the bat, I think tells us that he also believes Mac is pretty level-headed and he's a smart kid and he knows how to handle maybe a little bit of flowers being thrown his way early on. And I also think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and look, Nick, what do we know so far from what we've been able to see? That in the first practice open to the media, Bill Belichick had Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham working together, and Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer working together. They had Mac. I don't know if I said that right, but Cam Newton and Mac Jones together.
I him twice as if he cloned, but we get it.
Okay, sorry. So Mac Jones and Cam Newton worked together.
Right.
And Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer worked together. And Mac Jones clearly in the first public practice, because Belichick knows we're all going to run wild with it. And, some jackass like Greg Bedard is going to run a flowery column that gets, that makes, Nick Cattles have to consult the doctor after 4 hours about what I saw.
It's getting hot in here, Greg. It was.
And so he knows that, that jackass Bedard is going to write something like that. And he didn't really care. And then this week, Cam Newton goes down and Mac Jones is taking the reps and he knows that we're all seeing this. Right. And Bill Belichick doesn't give a crap. And that just tells you to go along with what you're saying is that I think he really likes this kid. I think he thinks that this kid certainly has a really good head on his shoulders, and he's really comfortable not giving him. He's fine giving him too much. He's fine giving him a lot of praise. He's fine giving him basically, a bouquet by the way he's played him in front of the media, and he thinks he's going to deal with it the right way. So to me, this only reinforces what I wrote last week. And now, if you're a Patriots fan, you're sort of secretly hoping that Cam Newton's out for another week or two, and that it's Mac Jones's show. And I'm sure Jarrett Stidham, they'll probably reward Jarrett Stidham with what he did, and he should, because he looked really good today and he looked decisive. But I think, they put Mac Jones out there, and Mac Jones performs when Cam's not out there. All of a sudden now some dominoes start to fall, and I can, hear the Patriots fans out there getting all excited listening to this right now. And I think they should be, a little bit excited, but now it's up to, look, all coaches, all they can do is give players opportunities. And it depends on, it's dependent on the player to take advantage of those opportunities. It looks like Mac Jones is going to have an opportunity here.
Right.
And it's up to him to see what he does next week. And hopefully the trials and tribulations that he went through today, like we talked about, hopefully he applies them going forward. And then all of a sudden he's that much better next week. And then all of a sudden the veterans come back for the veteran mini camp, the mandatory mini camp. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, this guy can play. I see, I see what's going on here. Maybe he is the right guy for us. So, this was another really good step for Mac Jones, in my opinion, and at large for the Patriots.